Hey, welcome everyone. I'm Paul Dysinger.
And I'm Edwin.
And we are a father-son team. And this evening we are talking about our ultimate garden hack to grow winter veggies and easily visualize your garden. I'm going to go ahead and pull up our slides so we can jump straight into the training here. Ultimate winter garden hack that lets you easily visualize exactly when to seed, transplant, and harvest veggies in your garden all year long based on your local area. That's a pretty big promise, actually.
It's a pretty big promise.
But we aim to keep it.
I think you'll be impressed at how easy it is.
Yeah, and it sounds like we're going to have a really awesome time. We're actually kind of thinking of planning out a winter garden together this evening with you guys, get some interaction in here. So quick overview of what we're going to cover this evening. Number one, we are going to talk about our simple formula to know what grows best in the winter versus the summer. This is a real key to winter gardening. Number two is the key to keeping plants alive in the cold and why wind is one of your worst enemies. Very interesting. Number three is the number one critical factor for a successful winter garden. This is absolutely crucial. Definitely don't miss this. This has like an aha moment in this class right there. And then number four, the ultimate winter garden hack, which is actually going to be kind of tied throughout, but we'll touch on that at the end as well. So now would be a great time to silence your distractions, turn off your phone, shut down Facebook, grab a pen and paper and some notes to take some notes. We're going to be traveling at a fast pace and have got a lot we're going to be covering. So very quick, short backgrounds to our story. We've had a garden almost everywhere we've gone. My mom is an avid gardener, and so it's just some pictures of myself in the garden as a youngster. Later on, my dad, Edwin, partnered with his brother John to grow Bountiful Blessings Farm, which was is a small farm in the rolling hills of Middle Tennessee, where we grew over 50 to 70 different varieties of vegetables, herbs, and berries. But the key is that we specialize.
We specialized in winter gardening. In fact, we were one of the first to offer a winter CSA in Middle Tennessee. And in fact, we started out offering a winter CSA and after doing that for a number of years, later moved into doing the spring and summer as well. So we had things a little backward compared to the way most people do it, but
yeah. So it was a family affair. This is my cousin and nephew helping pack boxes. Lots of fun. But I worked for many years with the commercial family farm, and then I branched out and started my own business called Born to Grow and started teaching people how to grow their own food more on a home scale. So here I am with my dad, Edwin, and mom, Jennifer. And not too long afterwards, I married the most wonderful girl in the world, Natasha. Absolutely love living life together with her. And we ended up not too long ago having our first little boy, Ethan, and he's just been an extreme joy. Absolutely loves the garden. This was his favorite spot in the spring, strawberry patch.
And with his cousin.
Yeah, with his cousin. And then here's just a few clips. This is just to show you that, we are hands in the dirt. We do this ourselves. Very short background to us. We've had the privilege of being able to speak and share in different venues and locations, but really what gets us the most excited is hearing back from people like you that take the trainings that we do like this and come back. And like Roy here says, there's a very noticeable difference in the amount of fruitage this year compared to last year. Or James Hunt, who said he had kale and collards that did well all winter, ate fresh greens all winter. So cool. That's what gets us excited. So enough about us. Let's get into the training for this evening, right? So let's talk about our simple formula to know what grows best in the winter versus the summer. And just before we do that, we mentioned the idea. What do you guys think about planning a winter garden together live? You think that would be fun? So it is a lot of fun, actually. We did this one other time. And what we will do is, see, this class, we're going to be teaching winter gardening and 3 secrets and keys, while at the same time demonstrating how to build a winter garden in our new app, garden planner called Seed Time. Okay, so we're going to be doing it side by side. And the way we're going to do this is, okay, we got lots of people excited about this. All right. Yes. So the way we're going to do it is the first person who puts in, after I say this, your city and state, we're going to pick that and build our winter garden plan off of that. Does that sound good?
That sounds good.
Okay. So put in your city and state. And if you're the first person that puts it in, we're going to use that.
Donna is asking if we're going to be talking about doing this in cold places like Iowa.
Yes. Yeah, we will definitely. Okay. Indianapolis, Indiana. Looks like Ann, you are a fast typer and didn't even quite spell it all out, but good on you. All right. So I am going to pull up. So this is something kind of cool, actually. This is our settings page in SeedTime, and I'll just make this a little bigger so hopefully you can see. And it's actually extremely simple to set up a garden plan based on your location. So we're going to put in Indianapolis, Indiana, right? And we're just going to do this Indian Creek, Indianapolis, Indiana right here. Boom. And you'll notice that immediately the growing zone will automatically change based on that location. And we automatically calculate your average first and last frost dates. And we have something in SeedTime that we call our average first and last hard frost date. We'll talk about that a little bit more a little bit later, but it ties in especially to winter gardening here. So these dates automatically calculate, and if you want to change it, you can come in, you can manually change it. If you live like in a microclimate or something like that, you can do the same, with the zones, but we will automatically calculate your zone and frost dates based on your location. You can see more instructions on that, etc. Click save. Just going to update and then go back to our garden here. And I'm just going to switch over to a timeline view. Actually, there's multiple different views that you can use to view your garden plan. So this is what we call our yearly view. And you'll notice on the left-hand side here, you have the months, July, August, September, October, November. These are the days of the week across the top. And so you can see coming up in October, if you live in Indianapolis, average first frost is about mid-October. And then coming up beginning of November, you can start expecting some harder frosts to come in. And like I said, we will be sharing a little bit more about that a little bit later. You can turn these frosts on and off if you want to view them in your calendar. We're going to leave them on because we're talking about winter gardening and they tie into our garden plan and experience here, right? So we have our garden set up. Let's switch back to our slides and let's talk about the first thing is our simple formula to know what grows best in the winter versus the summer, because we got to know what we're going to add to our garden plan.
Yeah. So one way to think about this is if you're climbing a mountain, I don't know if any of you have done this. I enjoy hiking and climbing, and I grew up out west, and we would often climb high mountains where you come up above the tree line. And so as you're hiking up the mountain, the vegetation changes. So you've got one kind of vegetation at the base of the mountain. As you get halfway up, you've got a whole nother set of vegetation. And as you get near the top and as you break through the tree line, you've got another set of vegetation. And it's just changing as you rise in elevation. That change in vegetation as you rise in elevation, something similar to that takes place as we transition from summer to winter and from winter to summer again in the seasons. There are certain plants that do well in the warm season. They don't do well in the cold season. And then other plants come on in the cold season that are not going to do well in the warm season. And I've become more aware of this as I look around my yard. I have certain weeds and grasses that are coming and going all year long. It's pretty fascinating. So when we're thinking about growing vegetables in the winter, the first thing we want to do is we want to find plants that like it cold. So that instead of fighting nature, we're working with it. We're working with the seasons. The best way is easy and cost effective. And that's to start with what thrives.
Yeah, so, you know, if you're growing something that doesn't thrive in the cold, then you're fighting nature, and that's not going to be easy.
No,
right?
It's not going to be easy, and it's not going to be cheap.
And we're gonna, it's not going to be cheap either. And we're going to tell you we're going to cover some cost-effective ways that you can protect even the veggies that do like growing in the cold.
So not everyone knows what these vegetables are. You know, we're used to being able to buy whatever we want, whenever we want in the grocery store, buying it fresh. We're starting to lose all sense of seasonality with different crops. And we really noticed this when we were market gardening. I remember one time we had a CSA customer who was disappointed. This was a winter CSA customer who was disappointed that there weren't more things like green beans in the box. Farmers had a laugh about that. But you know, honestly, if you're not raised in that environment, you don't know. And
maybe that's you. You know, there's no shame in not knowing per se what grows in the cold. I mean, that's why you're on this class, right? You get to learn the tips and the tricks here.
Yep. So, what are the crops that grow well in the winter?
We have a little rhyme that we created that just helps us remember what kinds of things would grow better in the winter versus the summer. And it's called Winter Leaves and Roots versus Summer Seeds and Fruits. So it's just something that can hopefully stick in your mind. Winter leaves and roots versus summer seeds and fruits. And it's not 100% across the board, but it's what, 90%?
It's a generalization, and every generalization has its exceptions.
Yeah.
But it works as a generalization.
So let's just talk about it real quick. So what are some of why do we say leaves and roots for the winter?
All right. Well, to start with, we have lettuce.
Yeah. So this is the part of the plant that we're eating. We're eating the leaves and we're eating the roots. So lettuce.
Kale.
Yeah.
Cabbage. Collards.
Yeah. Those are all leaves.
Yeah.
Yep. Spinach.
Yep.
And then roots.
Roots would be carrots, beets, turnips. What else?
Rutabagas. I guess that's it's kind of a root. It's the ball down at the bottom of the plant there.
Right.
So those are leaves and roots that you're going to be growing in the winter. Summer seeds and fruits. That's like your corn would be a seed, right? Yep. A lot of your grains. Fruits would be like your tomatoes, eggplants, peppers.
Yeah, we're talking about fruits in the botanical sense. Not the culinary sense.
Yep. So Sylvia, you would not want to grow tomatoes in the winter because that's a fruit, and it's going to be a lot harder, and
you'll be working against nature.
Yeah, to try and grow them. Yeah, in the winter. There are a few exceptions,
unless you live in southern Florida or Southern California, a warm part of Southern California, like San Diego or
So there are a few exceptions, like for example, sweet potatoes and potatoes. You want to grow those in the summer.
Yes, there are certain roots that you don't try to grow them in the winter. And there are some leaves that you can eat in the summer.
Yeah, but as a general ballpark, the most things fit into these categories. So let's take a look at a list of cold tolerant veggies that you can extend your season with. We divided them into 3 sections here: low freeze tolerance, medium freeze tolerance, and high freeze tolerance. What does that mean?
We're just talking about their hardiness, basically.
So low freeze tolerance, they can handle.
All of them can handle a freeze. Yeah, but they
can handle a soft freeze.
Yeah, yes, a light freeze, and then a medium freeze, and then a hard freeze. Yeah,
gotcha. So let's pull up a list. Hey, you guys want to see what you can grow? And it's actually larger than some people might think.
Yeah, and this is not comprehensive even.
Yeah. So low freeze tolerance, we're talking about things like lettuce, chicory, that includes your radicchio, endive, escarole, broccoli, cauliflower, cilantro, parsley, radishes, celery, bok choy. And you may notice cauliflower and broccoli, the plant is actually very cold hardy, but the flower itself is a little more sensitive.
Right.
Yeah. Medium freeze. This is where the list gets longer even. Chinese cabbages, sorrel, rutabagas, kohlrabi, collards, kale, mâche, that's like a specialty French green, spinach, beets, carrots, parsnips, dandelion greens, baby greens.
All sorts of baby greens.
Yeah, it's kind of interesting. That's kind of, we discovered that farming, didn't we?
Yeah, they tend to be a little hardier as baby greens sometimes than they are as adults even. So.
Very interesting. And then your high freeze, these can handle a hard frost, is like your turnips.
We're talking about purple top turnips.
Yeah, in fact, some of your salad turnips, like a Hakurei turnip, would be more of a low frost tolerance.
Low freeze tolerance.
Yeah. And then Brussels sprouts, cabbage, and Euchaena Savoy.
These things are really tough.
Yeah, I mean, we grow them outside with just like a row cover thrown over them in the middle of winter in our hard frost. They really can handle.
Yeah, we're harvesting Brussels sprouts and cabbage in February out of the field.
Yeah, great.
So these are all great veggies to grow in early spring, fall, or even straight through the winter. Just remember that your winter veggies are pretty much all leaf and root veggies, while your summer ones are mainly fruits and seeds.
All right, cool. So who wants to add some veggies to our garden plan? We're going to let you decide what we add to our garden plan, okay? So go ahead and start putting in the chat here. What do you think we should add? I'm going to pull up our garden plan together here. And you tell us what you want to add to our winter garden plan here. Just remember, we're thinking winter leaves and roots, right? So, okay, we got Brussels sprouts, spinach. So in the calendar here, you can add a crop, and there's a whole drop-down list. We have a bunch of crops already pre-built in here, so we'll pick out Brussels sprouts here. And then there's the crop name. If you're growing a specific variety, you could actually type that in, right? And just keep track of your crops by specific variety. We're going to set it relative to the frost, and because we are doing it in the fall winter garden planning, we're going to bump this to fall winter. And you'll notice these numbers automatically change because within seed time, the calendar plan automatically has default suggestions of when to grow these different crops based on your local area, which is kind of cool.
Yeah. So we've set it so it gives you the defaults. You can change those and customize any of them that you want.
For example, something you may want to customize is the days to maturity. If you're growing a specific variety, you drop in that days to maturity. Then we come down here. We'll talk a little bit more about. There's a section here that covers like our winter gardening algorithm. We'll talk about that a little bit later, but we'll just add these into the calendar, and boom. I need to make sure that we have. I'm going to pull this back to May. Boom. Now, and we'll talk to you about the timing and stuff in a little bit here. So, okay, we got lots of, I'm going to start adding things quickly here. We got lots of suggestions here. All right, so Brussels sprouts, spinach, radishes. Okay, so let's put in some spinach. We're going to just kind of go through this quickly, adding these in because radishes, chard, broccoli. So let's go to radishes. Always want to put it on fall, winter. Swiss chard. Fall, winter. And you'll notice here, like when I put in the Swiss chard, it drops in and it tells you when in the calendar year you should probably be seeding that crop, when to prepare the bed, when you should be transplanting it, and then gives an expected harvest time for that crop. So, it's doing this for every single crop that we add in here. So let's put in some more. Carrots, kale. Yeah, these are good. Whoops. Switch that to carrots.
There's nothing better than winter carrots.
Oh yeah, carrots. We're gonna put in some kale here.
Or winter kale. The cold sweetens both of them up.
Let's see, bok choy. Someone wants some bok choy. So we're gonna put in some bok choy, fall, winter. Let's see, maybe one or two. We want to have a pretty good beets. We'll have a pretty good winter garden here together, okay? So let's put in some beets. Okay, so now you can see that our garden plan is kind of starting to fill out here. Cauliflower, someone said. Let's put in cauliflower, and I'm going to add one last one, lettuce, to our list here. And man, check that out. In just like, what was that, 2 minutes or something? We have, boom, planned a winter garden, planned it out into our gardening calendar. I'm going to switch over to a timeline view. You can kind of see these planting schedules listed out on top of each other, the seeding time, bed preparation, transplanting, harvesting. Don't worry, we'll be talking about the timing of these things. You might notice some of them were suggested to be seeding much earlier than we are right now, but we'll talk about that in just a second. And we'll talk about what you can still grow and how you can grow some of these things that were even earlier before. But that is just a quick show of adding and building out a winter garden plan. It's actually extremely simple and fast and easy based on your location. Drop all of those things into your calendar and you're off to the races. Super fun. All right. So we talked about what grows best in the winter versus the summer. Next up, once you have these plants, you're planning to grow them, how do you keep them alive in the cold? And why is wind one of your worst enemies?
Okay. So when you boil it down, any kind of protection is simply changing or modifying the existing climate in some way. That's our goal. And so this happens in a totally natural way in nature all the time. You have all these microclimates. You can have microclimates around your house. The south side of your house is a different microclimate than the north side, for example. A south-facing hill will be a different microclimate than the north side of that same hill. Valleys will often collect cold air and be a frost pocket. Where we live on a hilltop, and we have our the farm is down in a little valley about 200 feet below us, and the temperature there is often on clear, cold nights. It can be 10 degrees colder down there than it is on the top of the hill. So you have all these little microclimates where different plants can thrive. Our goal in protection is to do this. We can create these microclimates as simply and economically as possible. And you know, we're trying to balance the simplicity with the economics to actually have something that will work to keep your plants alive. So the question then is, how much protection do I need? And we want to think about, what is protection? What are we protecting from? And we're protecting from more than just cold by itself. One of the main things that we need to protect from, warmth is a very important factor in plant growth, but the wind can often be more of a problem than just the temperature. Wind chill has an effect on plants just as it does on us. They're desiccated more, and I think it just takes the warmth out of them.
It just sucks the life out of them, kind of like it does you when you go out in the wind chill, right? So, the very fact that we're dealing with plants that can handle the cold already means that they can handle a cold. But one of the biggest factors when it comes to protection is kind of focusing on how do I keep the air still around them and make sure that they're protected from that wind that can have a greater effect on them than maybe even the cold.
Right. So practically, when it comes to creating a microclimate in your garden for growing through the winter, there are a couple of things that you need to think about. Where are you growing? Protection from the wind and the elements. And these
both kind of go hand in hand. Where you're growing, that can be making sure you're growing on a south-facing slope or the south side of your house, so you make sure you get the most sunlight possible, right?
Right.
Kind of finding those natural microclimates. And then protection is perhaps creating your own microclimate, even within that space.
Yes.
Right? And so that's what we're going to talk about next. What can you use to protect your plants? In the end, you may want to look at protecting your veggies from wind before worrying as much about keeping them warm. We do want to try and keep them warm, but or warmer, I should say.
Right.
Give them a little buffer. But let's talk about what can you use to protect them from the wind and at the same time keep them a little bit warmer.
So floating row covers are one of the most versatile and cost-effective ways that we have found for protecting your vegetables. They're simple, they're lightweight, and it's a spun bonded fabric cover, kind of like the dryer sheets that you use. The same material is often used in filtration as well. But you can buy it in rolls, all different widths and lengths, and see there are ways that you can even get it customized for your size garden space, and you can also get it in different weights of fabric. Yeah. So a heavier weight fabric will let less light through, and a lighter weight fabric will let more light through. Of course, the heavier weight gives more protection, the lighter weight gives less, but you've got to balance the light. And we found that a 1 millimeter thick row cover is a good balance. It gives you 70% light.
Or it might be listed as a 1 ounce.
A 1 ounce.
1 ounce thickness.
1 ounce thick.
Yep.
So some of the benefits of the row covers are that they are lightweight. They allow light to pass through. They're breathable. They're water permeable, and they protect from the wind. So they're you can just put a single row cover over your stuff and leave it on all winter long, just taking it off to harvest.
Yeah.
And then putting it back.
Pretty amazing. And they do increase the temperature under, not by huge amounts, but they increase the temperature underneath them. They're kind of like a blanket, and they're also cost effective, which is a huge plus as well. So Excellent. These are probably one of the most cost-effective and a favorite go-to when it comes to protecting veggies in the winter. So to use a row cover for protection in your garden, you could just throw it over your crops like a blanket, but it's better to keep them up off of the plants somehow. A great way is to use a wire like this. And why would you keep them up off the plants?
Well, you're wanting to protect the part of the plant you're going to use. So if you're growing leaves for consumption, you want to protect those leaves, and so you'd want to put the cover up off of them. But for example, if you're growing carrots, we usually just leave the cover straight on top of the carrots, because the greens of the carrots we're not going to use. So, when the greens of the plant touch the edge of the fabric, sometimes they get a little frost burned, or they get a little damaged. They don't look quite as nice as the stuff that wasn't touching it. So we don't mind that with the carrots. We prefer not to do that with our kale or our lettuce.
Yep. Yeah. Another way is to build a quick hoop, which is kind of like a miniature little hoop house. You take 10-foot lengths of electrical conduit PVC, bend them over into a little hoop. It stands about 2.5 feet off the ground, and you can create this little mini hoop house that you grow under. We'll show you a picture of it in just a little bit. Excellent way. But we wanted to also give you a quick guide of when and how much to cover that works best for most veggies, because you may be wondering, like, how much protection do I need, right?
Right.
So when temperatures drop to anywhere between 25 to 32 degrees Fahrenheit, if you notice that it's going to get down to the mid-20s at night, because that's usually your coldest temperature, then usually one layer of protection, and we're talking about a 1 ounce row cover, will work great for most plants. You can just throw that over your plant and they're going to do fine. For these winter crops, right, that we're talking about.
Yeah, so we're talking here about the ones that are the ones that were in our first category with the low frost freeze tolerance.
Yep. When temperatures drop down to 15 to 24 degrees, down to your mid-teens, then 2 layers of protection are a great option, especially during the coldest periods, usually just only overnight. And we like to make a very important note here, and that is that we only put on 2 layers over that coldest period of time, which is usually just overnight. So we will put 1 row cover over our plants, and that row cover may stay on all day long, because as long as it's under 40 degrees outside, we pretty much just leave the row covers on our plants. This is if we're growing outside. In a hoop house, that would be a different story. You may actually pull them off. But outside, we leave it on. And then when we notice it's going to get really cold at night, that evening we go and put another cover. Actually, we like to do it in the late afternoon when the sun is still shining. So it just kind of traps some of that heat under there. And then in the morning, we'll pull off that second layer so that we can allow the light from the day. Temperatures are rising again, and we want the plants to get light.
But for those of you who are in colder places, as long as the sun is shining, that 15 to 24 degrees, take the second cover off as long as the sun is shining.
Yep.
If it's not shining, if it's overcast, you might want to leave it on. That'd be okay. But they really need the light. I would recommend taking it off during the day, even if it was 15 to 24 degrees, and unless it's really windy, maybe. But they need the light.
All right.
Put the second cover on at night.
All right. And then when it drops to 14 degrees or below, that's 3 layers of protection we'd like to use perhaps even 3 layers, up to 3 layers of protection during the coldest periods, usually only overnight again. Yeah. So all in all, row covers probably give the best balance between cost efficiency, protection, and labor. The next step up is to make a high tunnel or caterpillar tunnel. That really takes it up to the next level. Of course, it's a little bit more cost involved in setting up one of those.
Those can be done quite, relatively cheaply, but it is quite a bit more expensive than doing the quick hoops.
Yep.
And the main difference, the main advantage of having a caterpillar tunnel or a high tunnel is that you can actually walk inside it, and you can work in there when the weather is inclement outside. It's very nice.
Oh yeah. Yeah. Excellent.
But as far as protecting your vegetables, the quick hoops are going to probably do almost as good a job as the hoop house.
Yep.
It's not much difference there.
Yep. All right. And once again, some of, what gives us the most joy is hearing back from students like you who go back and do this and come back with awesome results, like Larry who said, we are pretty excited about our first December harvest, thanks to using the quick hoops that Paul talks about in the course. And she was harvesting in December, which is super awesome. And James here, who says, I've been a gardener for about 30 years, still learning things from Paul and Dad. The kale and collards did well all winter, ate fresh greens all winter. So that is definitely the experience we want you to have as well. I'm going to show you real quickly in the app here. So this ties into our frost zones. Remember that we were talking about earlier. So in the Seed Time Planner, we automatically calculate your average frost and then your average hard frost time. And the great thing about having this visually in your garden plan is that you can easily see where you're at. And when it's just your average frost time, you can be thinking about, okay, let me just keep an eye on the weather and make sure, I can get one cover over my plants. When you start getting into the average hard frost time, it's a great time to keep an eye on the weather and be thinking about, should I be adding another cover, like 2 covers, or maybe even perhaps 3 covers if I live in a place where it gets super cold, right? And this is going to extend your season. In many places, you can grow straight through the winter, or it will even just extend your season a long time into the winter. So that's a great way that you can use those frost zones to help you with figuring out the times to grow or to cover and protect. So let's pull up our slides, and we're moving on to, by the way, this is a picture of James's kale that he was harvesting from all winter. And you can see he built just a very simple little quick hoop right in his backyard. Anyone can do this. I mean, come on, right? This is simple stuff and makes it super easy to grow your own food, even straight through the winter, very easily. All right, so let's talk about the number one critical factor for a successful winter garden. What is the single most critical factor for extending your season in the winter? It's a great question, and I think most of our minds would turn to heat or to protection, but even more important is timing when it comes to the winter. We call it the number one most critical factor when it comes to growing winter crops. Obviously, if you're growing a summer crop, that's pretty critical that you choose a winter crop. But out of winter crops, this is the number one critical factor. So timing, incredibly important. So we want to protect our veggies from the cold and the wind, right? That's all true. But before we get there, we need the veggies themselves to protect. And perhaps one of the easiest things to get wrong is timing. So timing can make all the difference from having a harvest to no harvest at all. So what happens is as the weather gets cooler and as the day length decreases, plants' growth also slows down and will eventually come to a stop. As a general rule, or very close to a stop, even if it doesn't completely stop. As a general rule, plants' growth slows down the most when days become 10 hours or shorter. During this period in the winter, your plants won't actually be growing very much, they'll be growing very slowly. Hence, our purpose in season extension, this is very key, and it has been somewhat of an aha moment to other students. Our purpose in season extension isn't so much to grow plants in the winter as it is to keep them alive through the winter. And then if you keep them alive, you can be harvesting from them through the winter. The critical factor then is to know when to plant your plants during the summer or fall so that they will be mature by the time winter sets in.
That is by the time the day length gets to about 10 hours.
10 hours, yeah.
Or less.
Yep.
So when it reaches that 10-hour point and starts getting less, you want to have a garden full of mature plants.
Yep. Yep. And then you're going to be keeping those plants alive and harvesting from them all winter, right?
Yeah.
Or if you're wanting early crops in the spring, then you're simply dealing with the reverse. The plant's growth starts to speed up again like a bell curve, and you want to know when to plant them in the winter so that they'll be at the right stage to harvest in the spring. So just let's look at this visually, because it's a little bit easier to visualize sometimes. This is a little graph. It's adapted from Elliot Coleman's book, The New Organic Grower, where he has some lettuce growing data that he used on his farm. So on the left-hand side is the number of days to maturity. So if I seed a plant at a certain time, it's going to take, for lettuce, across the bottom is the months, right? So if I seeded it at the beginning of August, it would take about 50 days for that lettuce to reach maturity and be ready to harvest. Alternatively, if I seeded it beginning of October, now it's going to take over 100.
Almost 120.
Yeah, days. About 120 days for that lettuce to reach maturity, right? So let's look at that visually. So as we go into the winter months, day length is shortening, right? Then I'm just going to drop in. These are the actual dates. You'll notice that as we go up from the beginning of September, you're harvesting that in November, but in October, it's going to be all the way until February before it's ready to harvest. Coming back down the other side, the date actually becomes much closer together because the growth is speeding up again.
Notice in December, the beginning of December, if you seeded them, the harvest date's going to be early April, and if you seed the beginning of January, you gained, it's not even 2 weeks. It's like 10 days.
Yeah. Yeah.
12 days.
So just visually again, beginning of September, it's only 70 days. Beginning of October, boom, it's 120 days. And if we continued that, it would be kind of the opposite coming down the other side of the curve, like Dad was just saying, right? So how in the world do you figure all of this out for your garden plan? So we want to give you a visual demonstration of planting, and we're actually going to give you a visual demonstration of planting for a continual harvest of lettuce, because we like to, how many of you would like to have a continual harvest out of your garden where every single week you could be going out and harvesting something from your garden, right? Does that sound fun? Does that sound like something you'd be interested in? We call this our perpetual harvest hack. And the key is having a very simple way to keep track of it all, and a way to set up succession plantings so that they're simple and easy to keep track of, right? Yeah. So let's talk about lettuce real quick. Here's our garden plan. And just before we get into lettuce, maybe we should just talk about the timing first, right? So you'll notice some of these crops for this location, it says the suggested time to seed them is actually a little bit earlier in the past. If it's within a few weeks of your current date, you can pretty much just move that over and seed those beets right away, and they should be okay. If we come down here, now Brussels sprouts, you notice this is, they're suggested to be seeded way earlier. And in this case, you may actually not be able to grow Brussels sprouts at this time, unless you were willing to overwinter them and harvest them the next spring. It just would not be the best time for growing Brussels sprouts for this location. So, you do have to work with the timing and figure out what will work best for your location at this time, right? So I'm going to actually just take Brussels sprouts off. Carrots, I think we could move those carrots forward, especially if we added a little protection on them.
Oh, definitely.
Yep. Yeah. Cauliflower. Now, one thing you can do with some of these, like with cauliflower, kale, we can move all the way forward. And by the way, we are planning in the Seed Time Garden Planner to set it up where if you start moving a crop, it will visually show you the best harvest or seeding window for that crop. So it's going to make this extremely easy and a no-brainer, because you'll be able to start moving it and you can see how far you can move it over or before you start getting into trouble. Right? So we don't have that built out yet, but that's in the plan. With cauliflower here, you can just move that over and put your transplanting time there, and you could look around and see if you have any garden centers locally near you that have transplants that you could purchase. And then you could just forget about the seeding part and transplant it then and set that up, right? Spinach, we can move that spinach over, and you can be seeding spinach. Swiss chard, we can move over, and you can be seeding your Swiss chard there as well. So we've just adjusted the garden plan now to fit our timing of right now, right? So now let's talk about lettuce and setting up succession plantings of lettuce. A neat thing that you can do with the gardening calendar and plan here is you can use this little filter box at the top to search for a specific crop and just filter down to just look at that. So we're going to focus on lettuce for a second, and we're going to see, I just started typing in lettuce, and now it's just going to show me the lettuce here. So in the left-hand side here, we've also included a way that you can easily and automatically create succession plantings. So if you want to create that continual harvest of lettuce, just hit the little plus button here, and it will add a succession planting of lettuce in. Now, I have, right now, in the settings, I have turned on our winter gardening algorithm. This is an experimental winter gardening algorithm that we have set up that, based on your location, it is going to filter back down to the lettuce here. It's going to automatically estimate your harvest delays over the winter based on where you live on your location. Because remember, we were talking about how if you seeded it in August, it takes about 50 days. Now, that is Elliott Coleman's location, so it may be a little bit different in your location, and the algorithm takes that into consideration. But see, check this out. If I move it to seeding the beginning of October, boom, now it's being harvested in February. You see that? So it's going to automatically estimate those harvest delays based on your location. But not just that, it's going to also do it based on, if you go and edit the settings of that crop, you can come in and you can put in, is this crop, what protection level is the crop growing under? Is it growing under one cover? That would be like under a row cover or in a hoop house. Or sometimes within a hoop house, you're going to use row covers even inside the hoop house to just add another layer of protection, right?
So inside the hoop house, the plastic of the hoop house, we consider that one cover. And then if you put a row cover on, that'll be a second cover.
So now watch this. I'm going to change lettuce number 2. Right now it's beginning harvest in the end of October, and I'm going to change it to 2 covers. It's got a little bit more protection. It's a little bit of a buffer, and you'll notice that harvest time bumped back a week because it's taking into account that extra protection that you have there. Now, if I want a succession crop of lettuce, I can line up my harvest. So when one is done harvesting, the next one starts harvesting. So that's kind of a cool way to very quickly and easily set up a garden plan in your calendar with succession planting. So I'm going to go ahead and throw in a couple more here. And by the way, as we get into, so sometimes there may be just a little bit break, and it's not a problem because your harvest can actually extend over for another week. Shouldn't be too bad. Going to throw in a couple more. And the truth is, once we get into our December harvests, those harvests may actually be able to, you may be able to actually harvest off of those. Let's just say our harvest window extends to about 4 weeks because the plants are growing extremely slowly, right?
Yes.
So you can actually keep harvesting off of them for a longer time. And so then your next succession planting that you drop in, you can set that up so that, whoops, we're going to actually move it right there, so that it will come, you don't have to seed it quite as quickly. And so now by planning it based on our harvest times, it will automatically tell us our seeding times to be able to plan that succession planting of lettuce so that we can have continual harvest of lettuce over the winter, which is super, super exciting. And you can continue doing that all the way into the spring. You'll notice that if you come back down to February here, boom, those harvest times are bumping back closer again. March, boom, bumping back closer again. So it works all the way across there. I'm going to bump that back to our earlier time. All right, so that is succession planting, and super excited about how easy it is to be able to quickly set those up with the seed time garden plan. But it gets even better than that. It's pretty cool. We're going to show you in just a second here. But first of all, timing is, like we said, perhaps the number one thing that causes, or maybe we didn't say this yet, it's probably the number one thing that causes most winter gardens to fail because people don't get them in early enough.
The challenge is that you need to start thinking about it when you're in the middle of summer.
Yep.
And that's not when most people are thinking about winter.
Yep. Yep. So what if you do get your plants planted late? Can you save them? The truth is that day length factor and the temperature with your days getting shorter, etc., is the greater factor when it comes to your plant's growth slowing down. But day length may be the greater factor, or temperature. We're still actually trying to figure that out. Which one is the greater factor in your plant's growth slowing down? Either case, both of them do play a factor, and heat plays its role. So think of protection and warmth like a little buffer to encourage your plants to grow a little faster before the days get too short. So you can use that as a little buffer for you there. But definitely don't rely on heat to grow your veggies during the cold. It's much better and will save you a lot of time and energy to start your plants at the right time so that they will be mature as the winter sets in. So let's talk about the simple way to grow your own food. Gardening is full of decisions, and we boiled it down into three things. It's the simple art of knowing, number one, what to do. That's like your plan of, I'm going to seed it, I'm going to transplant it, right? You got to know what you're doing, how to do it, how to do those actions. This really takes it to the next level, and doing it at the right time, the timing of getting those done at the right time. Once you have all of these three pulled together in one location, that is the power of what we call our ultimate winter garden hack. So I'm going to pull up Seed Time again here. And how many of you would just like to walk through a few more things that make Seed Time even more powerful as a winter garden hack? Because listen, we've just talked about what to do, right? The seeding it, transplanting it, etc. Lining up those timings for those plantings. But what if there was a way at the same time to easily know exactly how to do every single one of those tasks? And that is exactly what we've done with the Seed Time Garden Planner. So with every single one of these, you can click on a task, and this is the seeding task for carrots, right? And it will pull up crop recommendations based on that crop. For growing carrots. It links out to some of our favorite varieties. We have this for most of the crops that are already built in here, and we're going to be doing it for all of them. Seed spacing so you can easily know how far apart to seed it, how deep you should be seeding it, what to do, how to do it, and then links to videos, short master classes that give visual demonstrations as well as more training and information on each task in the garden plan. So let's just go over to the year here so you can actually see these different tasks. So if I click on seeding kale, boom, it's going to show up with these ones. And look, there's links, like we said, just to some of our favorite varieties. You can click on the link. It will take you over to one of our favorite trusted sources. This is High Mowing Organic Seeds, excellent seed company, and you can add it to your cart and boom, buy it right there. We actually don't have any affiliation with those companies, but it's a perk that makes it easy for you to get your seeds real quickly, right? What to do, how to do it, etc. for seeding kale. Transplanting. Let's talk about, with transplanting, it's going to tell you for different size, for large heads, space them like this, for mini heads, space them like this. This is for lettuce, I believe. What to do, how to do it, how to avoid transplant shock. Again, transplanting successfully, a little video. So every single one of these tasks pops up with information for you. But believe it or not, it gets even better than this. So exciting. Because on the left-hand side here, you have all these tasks in your gardening plan. And I actually have one turned off right now, which is cultivating. We have some cultivating reminders. You can drop those in and it will add those in. But you can filter down to any of them. So if, for example, you wanted to just look at your seeding task, what do I need to be seeding? What's coming up? If I need to put in a seed order, you can easily filter down and just see the seeding tasks for your garden plan. or you can do any combination of them. So you can see your seeding and your harvest times. Harvest is pretty cool because you can look ahead in your year and you can see when you can expect to be harvesting different things.
So you could use this to, for example, plan for a winter, like a Thanksgiving feast or a Christmas feast, to have, you know, certain things fresh ready for that.
Yeah.
You can set the harvest date, you know, for the time that you want it, and then it'll calculate when you need to be seeding it. And or you could plan a vacation that way. I don't want to be harvesting anything in this period of time, and so you can set your planting schedule so that you won't have any harvest at that time while you're gone.
Yeah, exactly. You know, we're talking about winter gardening here right now, but come spring and summer, you may have a summer vacation and you can plan to grow your tomatoes at a time when they're not being harvested in the middle of your summer vacation, right? So extremely powerful. Just move the crop planting to where you want it and it will automatically calculate your other tasks for it. So I like to keep transplanting and our bed preparation reminders set up. Each task is set for a week long by default. We will be creating a way that you can shorten them to specific days if you want to, but that gives you a week long space of time to get that task done for your garden plan.
We feel like that's generally pretty realistic because you've got other things going on in your life that you have to work your garden plans around. But secondly, you've also got to work around the weather. So you could schedule to be preparing a bed on Monday, but Monday turns out to be a rainy day.
Yeah.
So then you have to reschedule it and do it later. So this way, generally you can get it in within a week's period of time somehow.
Yeah. So, hey, I know that that's exciting, but check this out because it gets even better. On the left-hand side here in these crop varieties, you'll notice there's a little link button. And this is just a cool little feature. You can link your crops together. So for example, let's say that, man, I've got my plan here, but I didn't seed my carrots. I just forgot to, I didn't get around to it. I didn't seed my carrots this week, but I want to keep my succession plantings going. So you can link them together and you can just move your carrots down and it's going to move both carrot plantings forward together. By the same distance. And you may need, for succession plantings, especially within the winter, because it's changing your harvest times, you may need to adjust it a little bit. But in the summer, this is great. If you've got succession plantings in the summer, you can easily move them all together by just linking them together like that. So that's just a small feature. But can you believe it? It gets even better. This is so much fun. So, you know, now we have what to do, right? Seeding it, when to do it, setting it up at the right time, how to do it. Now, how do you keep track of all of that? So what we've done is we have created a weekly checklist that automatically compiles from your garden plan. So if you go over to the list view here, boom, all of a sudden, these are the weekly tasks for this week, right? I need to seed my spinach, seed kale. You can move forward and backwards to see the tasks for next week, or the week before, etc. You can keep moving forward and backward with it. Once you do that task, and by the way, this loads on your computer, it loads on your phone, so you could just be checking these off in the garden. You just check them off like a checklist. You can literally, I'm just checking each one of these off. You'll notice that they drop down into the completed section below. I'm gonna go ahead and check all of them off for this week. And if we jump back over to our yearly view, you'll notice that now in the calendar, in your other calendar views, it's actually going to mark those as completed. So you can easily see which tasks have been completed and which tasks haven't, and you can catch up, or et cetera, et cetera. So on a week by week basis, you'll be able to just take your task list and let's say maybe you like to use paper. You can hit the little print button. It'll pull up a list that you can print. Because I completed these, it's showing them as completed, but if they weren't, they would show above as uncompleted, and you can mark them off manually in your garden and then come and update your calendar plan afterwards as well. So yeah, simplifies things a lot, makes it a lot easier, a lot faster, and a lot more streamlined to get things done in your garden. It takes a lot of stress and overwhelm out of your garden. Not just your garden planning, but your actual garden execution, right? So let's pull up our slides here. Once again, as we noted before, our greatest joy comes from the students that we hear back from. Joelle says, so much produce. Have to say this season might be the most ever thanks to the methods I've been using from these gardening classes. These are some testimonials just from the training. Laree says, though I consider myself to be a somewhat experienced gardener, I can't even tell you how much I've learned from the gardening courses. Just a picture of her harvest. And there are so many more. But the question that we have for you today is, what would it be worth to you to replace the grocery store with your backyard garden? So instead of going to town and shelling out your hard-earned money to buy a bunch of kale, what would it be worth to be able to just go into your backyard and pick it and eat it fresh, share it with your family? What would it be worth to have simple techniques like this to extend your season all winter long, like James here with his greens, right? You can do this in a simple little backyard garden bed. Our goal for you is to be able to experience the joy of pulling back a cover and seeing beautiful veggies that you can harvest and just feel and taste the crunch and the sweetness that comes from growing winter veggies. Here's a picture of my garden a few years back. Yeah. And let's just put it this way. When it comes to your health, people are so concerned about their health, and there's no place that you could get higher nutrient loads than directly from your garden. What would it be worth to be able to share that with your family, with your friends, to boost your health, right? Julia says everything. And you're right. That our lives and the quality of our lives mean everything. The old way of doing this was going to Google, right? When should you seed lettuce? And you Google it and you try and figure it out, and you get a bunch of different voices speaking to you, and it's overwhelming. You've got to manually put it into a calendar, and then you miss the date, and it doesn't even tell you when you're going to expect to harvest it, etc. And it frankly can be quite frustrating and overwhelming. And our goal with Seed Time is to turn that around and make it as simple as making a peanut butter and jelly sandwich, right? So what's it worth to save a ton of time in your garden? What could you do with all that extra time if you just had a weekly checklist that you could mark off? How much easier would it be to stay ahead in your garden and not end up with weeds taking over, right? What would it be like for you to have a winter gardening hack? And so we would like to introduce you, as we already have here, to Seed Time, which takes all of that and makes it extremely easy and powerful to be able to use it in your garden. And frankly, the first time that we launched the prototype, Seed Time wasn't even born yet, but this was a prototype pre-Seed Time that we launched out to our members. The chat just went crazy. People were just absolutely blown away. Thank you. This is brilliant. I feel like I hit the jackpot. Wow, this is fantastic. And then after launching Seed Time, we just continued to have awesome response. Dean says, this is exactly what I needed to boldly illustrate and guide what I could be doing. Levert says, wow, just wow. It would be an exaggeration to say I've waited my entire 62 years, but only because I didn't begin gardening until I was a teenager. It wouldn't be an exaggeration to report I'm getting a little misty-eyed writing this. Jen, so helpful. Georgianne, really enjoying the calendar. Michael loves Seed Time. So question is, how would you like to get your own account to Seed Time tonight? We have an extremely limited and special opportunity that we are opening up. See, Seed Time is not available to the public right now. And we are opening up a very limited opportunity to jump in and join our Seed Time family for an absolutely killer opportunity. So let's go over quickly what's included, and then we'll share with you how you can jump in. So when you sign up for Seed Time today, you would get lifetime access to a Seed Time Unlimited account, starting immediately with our pilot program. What's included in a Seed Time Unlimited account? Number one is you get access to Seed Time Calendar. so you can quickly and easily plan and visualize when to grow anything in your garden all year long. You'll get unlimited gardening calendars coming. Right now you get one, but coming soon you'll have unlimited. That's ideal for tracking multiple gardens if you wanted to track multiple gardens, as well as unlimited crops and planting schedules. Basically, it's unlimited, right? And yeah, here it is in all its glory, its beauty. Seedtime calendar. A note to make there, and that is that it is a web app, so you can access it from any device on any web browser. So your computer, your tablet, your phone, you'll be able to access it anywhere. And something that's really cool is that we're actually doing a complete user interface redesign right now that's going to absolutely take it to the next level. And I'll show you just a sneak peek. You guys want a sneak peek of the new user interface? All right. Here we go. So this is just a sneak peek. Actually, you saw the sneak peek in the settings earlier. We've already started rolling out some of these new user interface designs. Here's a sneak peek at the monthly view coming up soon. And this isn't necessarily the final, but it's coming. It's going to be along these lines. Adding a new crop. This new crop form is going to take on a pretty awesome facelift. Here's the monthly view with some crops in there. You'll notice you'll be able to easily actually just mark those crops as finished just directly from the calendar. You can set them to a specific date if you want to as well. And here's just a sneak peek at the timeline view, some things to look forward to coming up soon. So you'll get access to Seedtime calendar. But listen, we have a vision for Seedtime that is so much more than just a calendar, so much more than just your tasks in your journal. We are creating a suite of tools for your gardening. So you'll also get access to Seedtime tasks, which we've talked about, that automatically compile from your garden plan to easily keep track of what to do each week and check off tasks as you complete them. Here's just a little visual example of the task list. With your unlimited account, you'll also get access to Seedtime Classroom with a series of short masterclasses guiding you step-by-step through our tried and true Gardening to Abundance game plan. So you get the training as well as the calendar to put it into practice, right? So these masterclasses go through everything from preparing your soil, doing soil tests, to protecting your veggies in the winter, to watering, weeding, trellising, composting, just pretty much every step of your garden in those masterclasses. But not only that, you'll also get access to Seedtime Journal. This is something coming soon. In fact, we're starting to create the user interface for this. And this is a place you'll be able to keep all of your notes, observations, and ideas organized and synced with your garden plan. This is going to be extremely powerful. What we mean by synced with your garden plan is you're going to be able to tie these notes and garden entries, tag them back to specific crops. You'll be able to potentially see your garden, your journal entries back visually in the calendar when there was a journal entry, quickly go to it, see what it was talking about, keep everything organized in one place, pictures of your crops, etc., and even see a little history for crops. You know, when did I do different things for a crop? So very exciting. But like I said, with Seedtime, our vision is not just a planner, a gardening calendar, and a tasks and a journal, but like I said, we want to create a suite of tools. So with your Seedtime lifetime account today, you'll also get Seedtime Layout, which is a future release, so that you can visually lay out your garden plan, assign crops to specific locations in your garden farm, and view exactly what spaces will be used in your garden at any time of the year, all tied back to your gardening calendar. So you're going to sync together. Just get this. You're going to sync together a visual layout of your garden, where each crop is growing, how much of it is growing in each place, tied to your gardening calendar. So imagine just a little bar you can scroll across the timeline of your year, and it will automatically populate your visual garden layout so you can see when each crop is growing in there, when spaces are empty, when you can add more crops in. It's going to be extremely powerful. Not just that, but we are going to be building out Seedtime Weather, also a future release, so you can quickly and easily keep track of the weather, get local weather alerts, all synced seamlessly with your gardening calendar and plan. So imagine in your calendar, you can have the simple weather forecasting just right there when you're planning your week. And then there's going to be a whole weather section that is definitely more detailed. And you can set up alerts, weather alerts, and all that kind of stuff in there. And it gets even better. With your lifetime account, you also get access to SeedTime Seed Vault. Again, a future release to easily keep track of your own seed inventory, what seeds you've purchased, how much you've used, what you have available to grow in your garden. In fact, this was requested by our SeedTime users. We didn't even plan to create this until we received a whole bunch of feedback from our SeedTime users that this is something they'd be interested in. And that's one of the key things with SeedTime is you are the ones that get to help steer the direction of what we create and build out in SeedTime.
We're actively soliciting feedback.
Actively soliciting your feedback. But not just SeedTime Seed Vault, you'll also get access to SeedTime Records. Future release here to make it extremely easy to keep track of any garden farm related record like harvest amounts, number of plants planted, soil amendments, etc. Imagine when you seed something, you can easily enter a record that says how much you seeded. When you harvested it, you can right there within the app enter how much you harvested. You can go over to your records, you can see them, you can view them, and tied to that will be SeedTime Analytics, which will make it extremely easy to visualize or view your records in ways that are easy to understand so you can get insights on how to improve your garden every single year. So, wow, that is a lot. And we are so excited to be opening up this opportunity for you to get it. But we have more. When you sign up for a lifetime account right now, we're going to throw in some bonuses just to sweeten this up, okay? So bonus number one is access to your Best Garden Ever challenge recordings. This is a live gardening challenge that we did with live students. It covers the exact 3-step process we use to plan your best garden ever from scratch, choosing what to grow, planning succession planting for a continual harvest, etc. And connected with that, you'll get access to our Winter Gardening Challenge recordings, which is a 3-day winter gardening challenge. Again, live students, where we went through our step-by-step process on how to grow fresh veggies through the winter without breaking your pocketbook in even more detail than we did in this class because it was spread over multiple days. So in the Gardening Challenge recordings, they includes 9 training and question and answer recording sessions, garden planning worksheet, succession planning worksheet, presentation slide PDFs, bonus gardening to abundance game plan mind map, and a bonus potting mix recipe right there for you as well. But to make it even better, we're going to throw in another bonus for you. That's our Ultimate Garden Cheat Sheet Bundle. You'll get instant access to some of our best gardening cheat sheets, including our Ultimate Garden Pest Cheat Sheet, Immune Booster Cheat Sheet, and Plug and Play Garden Plan. So real quickly, what these include are Immune Booster Cheat Sheet. It includes our #1 natural organic fertilizer mix to grow beautiful plants that thrive, our favorite quick action liquid fertilizer for a fast immune boost, and the hidden all natural fertilizer hardly anyone is using that has over 90 plus trace minerals for optimum health and incredible flavor. Pretty cool. Our Plug and Play Garden Plan. This is the exact land we used to grow over $1,000 worth of food in a small garden space. We actually kept track of it. And it's an easy layout for maximizing space. Scalable, you can double it, you can half it if you want to, fit any size garden, grows 20 varieties of popular veggies and herbs, and it has a built-in crop rotation plan with that. Plus our pest cheat sheet, which is a quick, easy lookup guide for over 32 garden insect and bug pests. Organic pest control toolkit, so you know what to keep on hand for any emergency. It's got a photo-by-photo directory to quickly identify your garden invaders, insect and bug characteristics, what they do, how to deal with them naturally, etc. And I don't even have listed on here, but there's another Ultimate Garden cheat sheet that we often give away as a bonus. By the way, our Plug and Play Garden Plan, that also comes with the Gardening Challenge recording. So that's kind of a dual, you get it in both. So our Ultimate Garden cheat sheet bundle, and one more bonus. Come on, we gotta take this to the next level, right? So bonus number 4 is our 14-day microgreens challenge. This includes step-by-step instructional videos guiding you from seed to harvest, regular emails keeping you on track, telling you what to do each day, how you can enjoy your first harvest in only 14 days, plus turning your microgreens into an automatic food growing machine. I've invented an autopilot tray system where you can just set them, forget them, come back 14 days later, harvest them. You don't have to water them. You don't have to watch them. It's really, really awesome. So all of those together. So let's just do a quick recap on what's included with a SeedTime Lifetime account. Number 1 is your lifetime Seed Time Unlimited account. We've listed that as a $2,400 value. It's hard to value something that is lifetime. But in the future, we are planning to list this same account for an estimated $20 a month. And so I just said, okay, for 10 years at $20 a month, it's going to be $2,400 value. Some people may argue that it's actually more value than that. But then you get the calendar. With that, you get the calendar, tasks, classroom, journal, layout, weather, seed vault, records, analytics, the bonus Best Garden Ever challenge, the challenge recordings, your cheat sheet bundle, and 14-day microgreens. It's a total value of over $2,000 bucks, $2,664. So, drum roll. The time has come to get early lifetime access to Seed Time Unlimited. And tonight you can get access not for $2,664 or even for half of that, $1,332, but we are opening up access to just one-time payment of $295 for you guys. This is a very limited time opportunity. It's a very special opportunity to jump in early and get instant access, lifetime. Pay once, never pay again for one-time payment of $295. Or for those who may be on a budget, we don't want finances to come in the way. So there is a split payment plan also available for just $69 a month. I'm going to throw up a link here for you in the chat. You should probably see it jump up in the chat there. If you're ready to get started, click the link on this page or go to seedtime.us/join. I'm just going to show you real quick. When you click the link or go to seedtime.us/join, you'll come to a page like this. It has a lot more information. You can definitely go through and read a lot more information. Otherwise, you can just click on Get Early Lifetime Access. It will drop you down, has the full list of what you get, another recap. You click Proceed to Checkout. It's going to take you over to the checkout page. You'll enter your information. We have an optional upgrade, which I'll talk about in just a second. And then you'll choose here whether you want to do the one-time payment or a split payment plan. You can choose either one. Enter your information, click Activate My Account, and boom, you are all set with your lifetime Seed Time package. All right. Well, to also let you know that this is backed by a 30-day money-back guarantee. So if at any time during the first 30 days you decide it wasn't the right thing for you, if it didn't improve your garden planning, take a lot of stress off of you, feel free to shoot us an email and we'll take care of you, no questions asked. We do have an optional upgrade. That's that little box on the checkout page. You can toggle it to turn it on. It's a optional upgrade for a Lifetime Elite membership. With our Lifetime Elite membership, you'll get live monthly meetings with question and answer times, live with my dad and myself. And we do these every month. In fact, if you sign up tonight, like I said, you get access to 5 years of our past live meeting recordings. Of course, if you sign up for the upgrade, you'll get access to all of our past recordings and future ones, right? You'll also get access to our entire garden training library. This includes over 160 garden training and demonstration videos, worksheets, resources, and more. There's a whole lot packed into that library, and private Facebook group access as well to our private Facebook group. Here's just a few pictures of people in our Facebook group sharing. Jan had never grown a garden before. This is some of her first harvests. We always love to see that. So whether you are like Jan, who's never grown a garden before and says that I've really become a gardener thanks to Born to Grow or now Seed Time, now is the time to take your garden to the skies. Like I said, whether you're like Jan, who's never grown a garden before, or like Laurie, who's been growing all of her life, our goal for you is to experience what Roy did here, where it says there's a noticeable difference in the amount of fruitage this year compared to last year. But not just that, for Seed Time to be able to take away the overwhelm from your experience of gardening and the stress. Amila, this is one of the most touching testimonials that we've received. She says, this is an absolute game changer in my life. Seed Time has helped me. It's given me an easy way to follow structure that has allowed me to include gardening in my need to survive list without being so overwhelmed that I just let everything either overgrow or die. I find myself wandering around the garden, pruning, watering, weeding, watching, appreciating on days when I cannot handle existing. Without seed time, it would be all too overwhelming, and I would hide in my house instead of wandering in my garden. This is extremely touching to us because we realize that seed time can impact people in more ways than just creating a garden and growing a garden. It can take the stress and the overwhelm out of your life and make it available for you, for those who may not be able to do it otherwise, right? So yeah, if you're ready to get started, go to seedtime.us/join. But like we said, stick with us to the end, and we are going to do a giveaway to win lifetime access. We're going to open up with question and answers, and as we open up with question and answers, I'm going to pull up our list of people who are on live, and we'll do a lifetime giveaway together. One question real quick. Tara says, this is pre-launch. When would the app be launched? So you will get immediate access to Seed Time when you sign up this evening. You get immediate access to what we call our pilot program. It's pre-beta. So Seed Time will officially be launched when we launch our beta program, and that will be coming most likely early fall. We're thinking end of September, somewhere around the time of end of September. Then we will be doing, and that will probably be, there'll probably be an internal beta launch and then a public beta launch later down the road. So it's kind of being released in stages, and you get the opportunity to jump in at a very, very early stage and get a really awesome, sweet deal associated with it. All right, let's hit up some questions really quickly here. So we have a question here. Penny says, can this be adjusted to follow biodynamic planting scheme? I use the Stella Natura calendar.
I'm familiar with biodynamics, but I'm sorry, I'm not familiar with that calendar. But I would assume that, you know, if that calendar can sync with a regular calendar, that you could do that.
Yeah, absolutely. So, you know, basically, if you can move, in Seed Time, you can move your garden planting schedules to anywhere that you want within the calendar year. So you can make it fit whatever calendar plan that you're wanting to grow. So excellent question, Teresa.
So I don't know if that is planting by the moon or by the stars, or, you know, that there are different things out there. We will at least have, we do plan to at least in the app have something on the moon phases down the road that would, you know, make that easier.
Yep. Excellent. All right. Up next here. Actually, I just pulled up our list of people who are on live. We'll take one more question here. Bella says, is this adaptable to containers in a high tunnel?
Yes, but I would say that when you're growing in containers in the winter, you're more liable to freeze. Your soil is more liable to freeze in the containers than if you're in the ground. It depends on where you're located. If you're considerably north, that might be an issue. If you're considerably south, it probably won't be.
Yep.
Yeah.
All right. You guys ready? Let's do this. Let's do this drawing together, okay? So I have pulled up a list. I actually have 58 people on my list. It looks like some people have dropped out, but we're going to go ahead and do this with our 58 people, and we're going to do this legit. So we're going to do it live with you. You'll get to see that this is legit. So I'm going to put in 58 as my max. And drum roll, the winner is number 39. So remember number 39. I promise I won't share your personal information. We'll cover up your emails here. But we got your first names here. So number 39, the winner is Teresa. Teresa, congratulations. You win lifetime access to Seed Time, our elite membership. I'll just highlight you in yellow so we make sure to share that with you. Afterwards, we'll let you know your access information by email. And congratulations. Everyone give Teresa a hand.
Yay.
We are excited to have you join our Seed Time family. All right. So we are officially back up with question and answers. And we're just going to take some question and answers for a little while here, and then we'll wrap it up for the evening. Jay says, is there any description in the app on soil requirements and soil testing? Excellent question, Jay. With Seed Time Classroom, where you get access to our masterclass video lessons, in there we have descriptions of different soil types, how you can improve your soil, no matter what soil types that you have, how you can take a soil test, etc. So we have training on how to build up healthier soil for you. Definitely. Absolutely. All right. Let's see. What other questions do we have? So Tara says, all but the coming soon items are available now through the app. That is correct, Tara. Everything except the coming soon or future release are available immediately in the app. They will be improved. You know, we're improving all of it. And so it's just gonna get better, but all of those are available immediately.
The basics are there.
Yep, basics are there. Sylvia says, can you grow your seeds indoors and then plant outside? That is an absolutely excellent question, Sylvia.
Yeah, that's a very good question. And actually, that's what we would recommend, particularly as it gets later in the year and colder.
Yeah. So you'll notice here, I'll just give this example with lettuce. We have seeding lettuce here, and then bed preparation here, and then transplanting. So you can, in the calendar, you can set a crop to be either transplanted or direct seeded into your garden. If you set it as transplanted, then you'll be seeding that crop inside and then transplanting it later out into your garden. I could take that same crop and go and edit the settings and change it to be a direct seeded crop if I wanted to. And it would change the tasks that I have. It's going to have direct seeding here now. And we have some other tasks ahead just as preparation for that. So with lettuce, we like to transplant it. We actually suggest transplanting most of them.
We recommend transplanting as much as possible.
Yeah.
There are a lot of advantages to that.
But it gives you the flexibility to be able to do either. Absolutely. Teresa says, I plant by the moon. So Teresa, you'll be able to continue to do that if you'd like. When we integrate weather, we'll probably have the moon phases integrated into there as well, because it syncs and ties with weather.
We haven't figured out for sure where they're going to be. That probably in with the weather.
Yep. So that's something that we've had many people ask about that as well. Jacob says, how often do you do these promotional webinars? Have people I want to see this? Very good question, Jacob. We don't have any promises. We are planning to do one this next week, but we have no promises as far in the future beyond that. We will be doing more of them, but it's a great question, and shoot me an email and we can let you know how you can get your friends to jump into one.
Get on our mailing list.
Yep, absolutely. Oh, Joe here, says, will the seed inventory be able to track seed purchase dates to ensure the oldest seeds are used first? Excellent feedback, Joe. You know, we haven't started building out that feature yet, but that's exactly the feedback that we're looking for.
Yeah.
Because then we can integrate that into the app. So I really appreciate that. In fact, send us, Joe, if you don't mind sending that to us by email, then we can add that into our feature request list and keep tabs on that. Emily says, do you feel the same way about raised beds freezing about to move to North Carolina from Florida? I think she's talking about, do you feel the same way as containers?
Yes, I think raised beds are not going to be as susceptible to that as containers, but it is the same thing again. On the other hand, raised beds will generally warm up a little bit faster in the spring. Now, if you just think it through, I think you'll catch the logic on that. So there's advantages and disadvantages both ways. You just need to think through what you'd like to do.
Yep. And you can definitely continue to grow through the winter in a raised bed.
Yes, you can.
You know, I think that James there, that he was, now he's in Georgia, and he, at the time, or he was in South Tennessee. I think he was in northern Georgia. Anyways.
But, in North Carolina, I don't think that would be an issue.
Yeah.
The raised bed. Yeah.
Yep. All right. Excellent question. Great question, Melinda. We will be sending out info by email as well. So great question. Someone was asking, will the virtual garden section have a way to keep track of crop rotation? Dana was asking. Great question. Yes, absolutely. So it's going to help you keep track of crop rotation. It's going to make that extremely easy. You'll be able to even see a historical list of what different crop families have grown in a particular area of your garden in the past, etc. We're still figuring out the ins and outs of exactly how that's going to work, but it's going to be absolutely phenomenal. Plus, we are going to be including companion planting recommendations. So if you want to plant companion plants, that will be built in as well. Excellent. All right. Yeah. Emily, great question. There seems to be a lot. Is there a little help bars along the way to help teach you how to use the system? Excellent question, Emily. So we do have a help knowledge base that we have built out just initially. Like I said, we're in our pilot program, so we're building all of these things out currently as it is, and we will be including more and more help along the way. And it's incredibly important to us that our users are able to easily use the software, right? The app. So I think that's an excellent note, and it's something that we will be continuing to improve. But even right from the start, we have a video that walks you through using SeedTime. Even right now, we have an entire walkthrough of using the calendar. Plus, we have knowledge base articles that are written out with pictures and stuff, teaching you how to do different things in the calendar. So even right now, you can get started with some help. And we are here. Our support team is here to help you as well. So you can email us anytime. Audrey says, what about tracking varieties each season? Excellent question, Audrey. Yes, you will be able to track varieties for each season. You'll be able to, there'll be a history within each variety that will show you when you planted it in the past and track all the information about the different plantings. And you can add extra information via the journal when that is released as well.
We're trying to set it up so that you can track specific varieties, and you can also track the crop.
Yeah. All right. Jay says, if your app hasn't launched yet, where do your students get information to provide testimonials? Good question, Jay. So in case you missed it earlier, you can actually get instant access to the current version of the app. We have not launched publicly yet. So we do not have a public, nobody can sign up online anywhere else. You can search the web and you can't sign up anywhere else. So it is not publicly released. We are currently in the stage of building it out. This is why we're calling this our pilot program. But you get access to everything we have currently built out already, and you get to provide feedback as you go along. So the testimonials that you've seen, those are from users who have already started using SeedTime, what we've been demonstrating in the class here. Yeah. Yep, absolutely. All right. Alexia, having trouble logging in, no sign up option. All right, great question, Alexia. Oh, finally got the email. Fantastic, Alexia. Good job. Teresa, feel free to send us information. If
we have her email, so we'll.
Teresa says, do you recommend filtering one's water? If you have chlorinated water, we do recommend filtering it for your garden. Yes, it would always be better to filter it. At the very least, you could take your water and leave it out and let the chlorine evaporate as much as possible before using it on your garden. It's best to remove as much of those chemicals as possible. All right. Any other questions that I've missed here? All right, if you have if anyone is on here who has another question, feel free to drop it in the chat quickly now. Emily says, can you mark your own veggies instead of a lettuce, the specific variety? Absolutely. In fact, I'll show you one more thing here with Seed Time. I showed you how you could add any of the crops we currently have, but you can actually add a completely new crop at the top here. You can name it whatever you want. You can put in whatever variety it is and just fill in all the forms to set up that planting schedule for that crop, and you can add your own custom crop in. Plus, with any of the crops, lettuce, etc., you can enter any variety of lettuce and input that variety and the information for it, etc. So yeah, it's very flexible in that regard. All right. Oops. Let's see. A couple more questions here. Is the 1 ounce crop cover good for Virginia? Absolutely, Teresa. We would suggest that for any location. Jay says, do you take into account watering and nutrient requirements when planting more than one type of plant in the same bed? We would encourage you to take that into account. We don't have that built into the app right now because we don't have our layout planner built in yet. But we would encourage you to take that into consideration. Excellent question. Emily says, the Elite Plan, where is it? Very good question. This is actually quite popular. Our Elite Plan is actually quite popular, especially because you can sign up for a lifetime account right now, which is pretty crazy. But on the checkout page, you'll see a box here that says, do you want an Elite Lifetime account? Right here. You'll just toggle this little toggle to add Elite Lifetime on. It's a special one-time offer to get access to our Elite monthly live meetings, etc. for one price for life. Pay now, pay once, use it forever, etc. You'll toggle that on. It will add it to your order, and you can join our Elite level membership. Yeah. Dorothy says, where can we get the row covers?
There are a number of seed companies that sell them. Johnny sells them.
All right, friends, this is gonna be the last question that we cover, and then we're gonna wrap up. So just a quick reminder, and we will come back to the row covers here and give you some tips on where you can get those. And think of it this way as well. You know, you can jump in and try it out for 30 days. You have a 30-day money-back guarantee, so you could jump in right now, set an alarm on your calendar 30 days from now, and you can decide later. You don't have to decide tonight whether you're going to keep this. But the decision to make right now is to jump in, and then within the first 30 days, you make that decision of whether you're going to keep it or not, because we back you up 100%. Okay? But hey, congratulations, Dana. Excited to have you. Can't wait to see what you can grow with the garden planning. But yeah, let's talk about the row covers real quick, and then we'll wrap up.
Okay, I see Teresa says Amazon. I've never looked for it there, but you can get anything there. So.
Yep, yeah. Yep. You can get row covers. My cousin actually sells
That's
row
right,
covers.
Yeah.
Farmersfriend.com is an excellent source for row covers.
He not only sells row covers, he also sells caterpillar tunnels and other things. Stuff for the quick hoops, etc.
Yep. Seven Springs Farm, I believe, sells row covers as well.
They're in Virginia.
They're in Virginia. And Peaceful Valley, I think, actually,
I'm pretty sure they do,
sells row covers as well. They're in California. So if you're in the West Coast, you may want to look into them for your row covers. All right. Excellent. Hey, thanks everyone for joining us for our event this evening. It's been a fantastic time together.
Really enjoyed being with you.
We always enjoy it. It's so much fun to jump on with you live, to have the interaction. It was fun. Did you all enjoy building out the winter garden plan together? It's kind of a cool experience, getting your input and building it out. We never know what location it's going to be. Today was Indiana. Very fantastic. Excited to have every single one of you who jumped in and joined our Seed Time family. Once again, this is a limited time opportunity. It is not going to be around very long. The cart will close, and once the door closes, then you're going to have to wait for a while before you can go in. Probably, I can't tell you how long because we don't know exactly. So now is the time. Now is the time. If you're interested in jumping in, joining our family early, jump in now. Thank you all. It shows an investment in your garden for sticking with us to the end here. We appreciate you. We can't wait to see what you do and what you grow in your garden. Have a wonderful evening, and we'll talk to you soon. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.